everything is viewed through the frame of World War II nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Everything is viewed through the lens of Hitler, right? Whether it be Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Obviously, Elon Musk was literally until about probably this time last year, or when he bought X, was a liberal himself, as he would say.
Yeah.
He was on the left himself, right? And ultimately, I think that obviously the biggest policy that Homeland has, and the one they say is pretty much integral to what they want to do because it has the net positive effects on everything else, is this remigration policy and how that's backed by what they call sensible nationalism. So I think those are the two things which I want to get into, because I'm a person, knowing myself, I'm very prone to radicalization and emotional outbursts myself. I haven't
Right
done
there with
anything
you.
on that, but
Right there with
especially
you.
the younger generation. Obviously, every like communist regime throughout history will always target the children and stuff like that. And hearing you say that about like Kenny, for example, where he actually stopped these two teenagers, whatever it was, from actually fully going down that like national socialist route. A lot of people are pretty much trying to insinuate the opposite. So what in your purview, first off, is the difference between, I think we touched on it at the start, between the sensible nationalism of Homeland and like the crackpot nationalism, which is another term I've seen you used in your videos to describe this kind of thing?
Yeah, so the guys who were actually involved in the crackpot nationalism explain this better than I will. So your crackpot nationalism is going down the nationalist socialist route of just going, it's like it's the Jews, all this stuff, spray paint in your racist stuff, going masked up and causing issue where it doesn't. You're causing not disruption. Well, yeah, kind of. You're causing disruption and anarchy on the streets, and that's not what we're wanting. We want people to educate themselves because we know that we have to work. We're going to have to work with different people of different backgrounds all across the world if we come into power. We know that. So there's no point in alienating everyone because you think that your race is superior to everyone. We want what's best for our people in our homeland. So this is where you move away from caring about other people and crackpot nationalism, where all you want to do is make this place so unpalatable for them that they leave. Or you would happily go down the violence route, the civil war route. You'll happily push for that, drop in like racial slurs on social media and things like that. Whereas with sensible nationalism, you don't put any of the energy into that. You put your energy into supporting your people. You put your energy where you're getting millions of people, well, sorry, not millions, taking hundreds of thousands of people getting taken to the streets, causing damage, causing disruptions and that. Causing disruptions to the system's great, but all that energy, if that 100,000 people went out at the weekend, that weekend and went and did stuff in the community, whether it was even something as little as litter picking, planting trees, or even going and speaking to like the people who are in your neighborhood, just trying to get that family cohesion back, that feel that not everyone's a stranger anymore, because that's what's happened as we've moved into this technological age and we've all recoiled into our own personal spaces. Nobody
Mm.
socializes anymore. Like, not everyone drinks in the Homeland Party, but the pub is a very important place for politics, and Homeland knows that. Pub politics are important because that's where all the politics used to be discussed. So if we,
Mm.
if we stayed on crackpot nationalism and tried to push remigration that way, you'd be right in thinking that we're gonna round up we're gonna get use the army to round everyone up, smashing in doors. It'll be like in the clips from like Schindler's List when they're smashing in people's front doors to take them in. Whereas with sensible nationalism, that's not what we're going to be doing. What we're going to be doing is make all the incentives for them to pass through Spain, France, Germany to get to us because they want our health system and things like that. We're going to turn that tap off. There's going to be absolutely no benefits for them. Obviously, you're here illegally, you're gone. If someone has immigrate, if you're an immigrant and you commit a crime, you'll be gone as well. We shouldn't have to house the world's rubbish because we're this liberal state. We need to start
Mm.
standing up for our own people, and yeah, we're doing it. It's it. I it's hard to describe sensible nationalism without using the word sensible, because everything you're supposed to do is not bringing the party into disrepute.
Mm.
Because
I get what you mean. Go on.
yeah, all we've got is our name, and right now we are fighting to show people what that name really is. So it's important for
Mm.
us, because the Homeland do turn people away, and they've also kicked people out of the party, because if you're just going to take to Twitter and just immediately go for the Jews or immediately go for black people and stuff like that, that's not what it's about, because we know that we're going to have to work with people of all different um, ethnic origins, religious backgrounds in years to come. Fair enough, we don't want it to be in our homeland, but we still want those people to be able to thrive in their homeland. So we're going to have to work with them, especially when it comes to remigrating people, deporting them back to their homeland. We're going to want to be working well with the governments on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I think what's going on in America at the moment with Trump's deportation or repatriation, whatever you want to call it, is like, I think it was the president of Colombia, I think it was, or the president of Mexico, I can't remember which one it was, saying we're not going to take these people back, and basically it's like, no, Trump. And literally about 5 minutes later, they were like, no, no, we'll take it back. I'll send my private plane. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing,
So it's like,
we did needed to turn off that tap well before we have any bargaining power, because obviously
yeah.
we've got no money in the bank to be trying to strong arm a nation into taking people.
Mm. I love it when whether it be, you know, and it's more like a not in a denigrating the UK kind of way, but acknowledging the fact, exactly as you said, we've got this tap running that's eating all our resources, and we're no longer, due to deindustrialization, due to any of the all of these massive left wing initiatives, we're no longer a mainstream player. You know what I mean? In a lot of like the geopolitical conflicts, I just love it when like whether it be like Ed Davey on X, or
Yeah.
these other like Lib Dem left politicians like go on, but we need to be strong on this. We need to fight Russia and all these things. And did you see the clip of him that come out? I think it was literally just yesterday. Him in the doing that hobby horse stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I put out
I'd
a
be like, I
video.
had to quote it, and I'd be like, I'm sure Putin's quaking in his boots right now.
Yeah, I put up a weak men video yesterday. I was meant to put it on TikTok, but I say the word that rhymes with great far too much for TikTok in it, because I'm talking about the rape and sexual assault statistics for Scotland and how they've increased in the
Mm-hmm.
17 years that the SNP have been in power. But I just end up putting it
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter because I know it's safe on there, and like within a couple of seconds, the very first clip I put in is of Ed Davey dancing about on that horse. But before it slips my mind, see how you coming from the valleys, your area will have a specific feel and a specific look. Like for me, when I think about a place like Yorkshire, you think about that old country pub, do you know, where it's got like the thatched. So you coming from like somewhere that would have been very industrial, very mining, yeah? You mining?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you will have a certain feel. There'll be a lot of green around you as well. Now, what the Homeland Party really wants to stop as well is all of that green going. All of that green being turned into a concrete jungle like London. We want people,
Mm-hmm.
we want villages, towns, and cities to have their own unique feel, so that it doesn't feel like you're going to every major city and you're going to the exact same place, maybe just a bigger or smaller version than the last.
Yeah, and that's you mentioned a unique feel, and I look back at photos because the area where I'm from, even going back from I can remember as say go back about 15 years, maybe just slightly longer than that, between 15 and 20 years. Um, I can remember being a kid, like a really young kid in primary school, and the main street, the main high street, it would be bustling.
Yeah.
There would be all sorts of things on there, and now there's I think they still have the weekly market on a Thursday, but now the main high street, there's a church on the end of it, doesn't get used anymore. There used to be a bank there. There's not even a bank. I think the closest branch to me now is in the capital of Cardiff, and that's about an hour away if I wanted to go to, a brick and mortar bank. And but the thing is, there's about, I'll count them up now in my head. One, well, that's a salon, so I guess that doesn't count. One, there's about, in the span of one street, about three or four barbers. Three or four barbers. A Greg's. There's a vape shop, possibly two, and there's like one butcher, one greengrocer and veg guy, and I'm like, what the hell has happened? It's like it's been completely decimated
That's
from how I remember it before.
every town and city has a vape shop and barber shops. That's all they've got now because nothing can last. Like in Aberdeen, this is something that drew me to the Homeland Party as well when they really started telling me about putting all this money back into local communities. 2014, 2015, there was the Big Oil Downturn, and it absolutely decimated Aberdeen. But the SNP left Aberdeen because it's always voted Conservative. They did not bail anybody out. We're talking tens of thousands of jobs were lost in days, and then the ripple on effect of our high street, Union Street, has never been the same. The beach, we used to, me and my family used to be down the beach most weekends. We'd go for a family meal, all of us. Like, it was the Frankie and Benny's. We used to always use the Frankie and Benny's. But after 2016, everything started to deteriorate. Businesses couldn't hold on to business because no one had any money. And the SNP did nothing. So I think from that oil downturn, it's worked out to, there's been about 100,000 jobs lost. Um, and that's taken from like data that I've got off the internet. You can easily search yourself as well. It's about 100,000 jobs have been lost because of the SNP's refusal to help Aberdeen. Now, all these places that they've let run down over the past 9 years, um, they're filling them up with a lot. We've got a big Nigerian population on George Street now, which is like our secondary main street. We've got all these asylum seekers are getting moved in. So our population, our ethnic Scottish population of Aberdeen, we've got a smaller percentage of a larger pot now because everyone that's had to move away, or all these businesses that have closed down and they've had to move away, they've all been filled with foreign interests.
Mm. And again, it just seems that the government, especially with the SNP, and what you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago was the sexual violence epidemic. And I saw a headline. I think you might have shared it as well. It might have been that you shared it, that I come across it, or that I come across it. But I talked about it. It was from, I can't remember the name of the paper, but it said that the sexual violence in Scotland, I believe it was in Glasgow in particular, it might have been like the Glasgow Times or something like that, or Glasgow
Scottish
Express, whatever it might have been
Express.
called. Yeah, and it's now hit what they've called epidemic levels. And
And
you
it's
know,
wild, isn't it?
oh, go on.
Yeah, so they're now trying to say, so they've got, is it three or four? But they've got all these asylum seeker hotels. They've been absolutely pounded in certain areas around the central belt, especially in Glasgow. They've been really pounded with immigration. And now it's at a level because little girls are being followed, children are being recorded in parks, sexual crimes and rape crimes, cyber sexual crimes are absolutely skyrocketing. That's like kids getting groomed. Like, you see all the pedo hunters that there are now, and they
Mm.
do such a good job, and they risk their freedom because our liberal police believe in defending the feelings of a paedophile over an upstanding member of society that's trying to look after his own. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, and now it's got to this stage where the SNP might not be able to cover it up anymore, and they're talking about holding a summit That's what it is. They're talking about holding a summit to deal with the epidemic of sexual
Hmm.
violence. Just need to make everyone watch was it Adolescence?
Ah, yeah, exactly. The documentary, as I think Keir Starmer called it once or twice, the documentary, as he called it.
Yeah, he
But
said he was watching it with
yeah,
the documentary with his daughters or something like that, didn't he? I was like, oh, shut up, then.
yeah, I know. Just, and I think I can't remember who posted it, but literally it was saying that regime politician is mad that another regime politician, referring to Kemi Badenoch because she hadn't actually watched it yet or whatever. It was like the LB. Oh no, is it one of the LBC hosts? It was one of the LBC hosts, and he said regime mouthpiece, whatever it was, is upset that regime politician didn't watch regime fiction to make the policy based on it. But it's literally the sad thing is that they said that piece of, because at the end of the day, because they screwed whichever way they go, because people are calling it anti-white and anti-male propaganda because of the blatant race swapping based on how the stats actually play out in real life, and the potential one incident that people are alleging it was based on. But then I think Stephen Graham and the other guy's name, I've forgotten his name, has come out and said that it's not based on that one incident where I think it was a 15-year-old girl was murdered by a black classmate, I think it was. I can't remember her name. I talked about it yesterday, but it's either the case of where they have just blatantly race swapped to get away from the truth, or if it is just a work of complete fiction, why is it being legislated on? Why is it being pushed in schools and in Parliament and in all of these other places?
Yeah, and they didn't try and push. Is the documentary called Three Girls, and it's about.
I've seen it prop up, yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't push that, and they refused to do. They refused to push an inquiry into the actual grooming gangs, like the real life
Yep.
dangers, the real life misogynistic dangers that they're going on about. They
Yeah,
refuse to actually look into them. But yeah, you whip up a bit of single shot episodes that show a white boy being bad. You can guarantee that's going in Westminster.
absolutely.